Today we're going to be creating our animal. So choose one and we're going to trace it. All right, so for our newest project, our geometric animal, we have looked into how artists use their art to help bring awareness to things, such as you can bring awareness by doing artwork with dogs and cats and say, they're up for adoption at a humane society locally, or there's an endangered animal as we're looking at in this project. You could choose one that is on the endangered list to bring awareness of, hey, do you know this animal? Did you notice that they're on the endangered list and different things like that? What can we do? So artists use their work in order to bring awareness sometimes, or just start the discussion. So we've looked at some videos of animals that are endangered, as well as some artists around the world, like Bordalo, who use the different trash and things found in the area to bring statements of how it's affecting that particular animal's environment. So what we're going to use is our 9x12 paper, and then I have some printouts of some silhouettes. And with this, you can choose. My favorite animal is a wolf. And so all I did is I put this underneath my paper and I slowly pushed down and was able to trace this shape. From here, we're going to do a geometric design. So geometric means that it's shapes that you've seen before. So geometric can be anything that like this, like triangles, squares, more of those sharp edges, rectangles, pentagons, you name it, okay? So it could be rhombuses, whatever it is, it's just, those sharp angles. What I don't want to see is a natural shape. So a natural shape is one that, kind of makes a blob, or it's more of those curved corners. We're more looking for this. And what we're going to do when we're done is we're going to use color pencils to add in some value and shading. So you can use your pencil and draw, or you can start using a ruler, reminding us on how to use a ruler. I am a lefty, so my right hand makes an L shape to have the ruler stable, and I use the left side of the ruler. If you're a righty, you use your left hand in an L shape, and you use your right hand you lean it against this particular part here to draw a line. Does that make sense? All right, so when you're going, think about the shapes. Maybe I'm gonna start off with a larger triangular shape, and I'm gonna do that. And then I decide, all right, I'm gonna continue it. I'm going to make, more corners. Maybe it's just going to be another triangle. And you keep going, but I want them to be rather large, bigger shapes. You can add into a rhombus or something else, but I really like just continuing my triangles. So again, it's up to you, but I want you to take your time, and you're gonna fill your entire animal up using those geometric shapes, okay? So don't worry if you need to go in a little bit smaller, you can. I can divide this up and have a few smaller areas, but just think about that as you're going. I'm looking forward to seeing how yours turn out. For this next part of our project, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be getting some color pencils. And I wanted to show you one as I pass out the color pencils. Please try not to, sharpen both sides. It's not good for the color pencil. We only sharpen one, but I wanted to show you this has happened in the past. Please only do one. That way when you're working, it's just, we never have a sharp end pointing at us, and they last longer that way. Everything stays in it as it's supposed to, etc. So what you're going to do is you're going to start with one version of a color first. We're going to be coloring these in two different groupings. So what I mean by that is you're going to be shading in and creating some value in a few of these are going to be this color scheme, and then maybe the other ones are in another color scheme. So I'm starting with 2 to begin with so I can work on those spaces, and then when I'm done I'll move to the other ones. That way I don't have 4 color pencils all over the place rolling on the ground and I can't find them. So think about your animal as you're doing the colors. It could represent you and your favorite colors. It could represent, where you would find these animals. So in some ways I was thinking my animals that are like wolves are generally you find them at night. They're elusive, so I'm going to use some darker colors. And then you can also see them beautifully during the day as the sun is rising. But I could change my mind and just do these 2 colors and then do greens because they're in the woods. So I'm still debating, and I want you to know that that's okay to have that too. Sea turtles, maybe you have the turtles where you're just using the whole thing, are going to be in a scheme of greens. So what I mean by choosing a color scheme is you're going to choose 2 colors, and I recommend you choosing a dark and a light color, because we're going to cut out this back end here, but I'll show you on the back as well, that what you're going to do is you're going to shade, pushing really hard, well, not hard to break it on purpose, with your darkest color. And then you're going to push medium, where you're not pushing as hard, and you can see that the color changes. But I also want to make it stand out a lot, and so I'm going to take the lighter color and I'm going to blend it a little bit and blend it out this way. So you go through 3 colors, and this is going to give this really cool illusion in your pieces. So for example, I'm going to choose, all right, I'm going to do every other, or some of them are going to be this color scheme. So one hand is still holding on to your other color pencils so it doesn't go flying places. And I'm going to start in a corner, and I'm going to go dark with my corner, and I'm going down, and then I go to medium. So I'm not pushing as hard. And then I'm going to switch and take my lighter one and I blend it, meaning I'm not pushing hard, I'm going lighter with it, but I'm blending this color into the other one. You can do little circles or just following that up and down. And so you want that drastic change of dark to medium to light. And then you continue. I'm going to skip, and I might start here. I'm going to start from the bottom corner, and I'm going to do it coming up. And I'm going to go to my medium, 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 medium. And you see I'm just doing up and down coming out of it. And I go to my lightest color like this. And you can even do this where you push hard and then you go lighter as you go. So I stay inside my space here. My goal is I'm going to switch. I'm going to keep doing every other. And once I complete my whole thing, I'll go to my next color scheme. So why don't you take your time now and begin, find your 2, a dark and a light, and then start doing your coloring in. Once you finish your section with one of the color schemes, if you really want to, you can continue doing all of them in that same color scheme. But if you wanted to do a second one, I wanted to show you that I also have these Crayola color pencil sticks. So you don't need to sharpen them. The way they are done is each of these is a nice corner to get you that same look as well. So I changed my mind, and as I finished this of like thinking of the knights and so forth, I was thinking this would be a good one to put in for the trees and where I would find my wolf. When you're done with all of it, you will then use a Sharpie, and then I'll tell us the next steps too. So when you're using these, and I'll show you a little bit up close, it's the same process, but you're going to push hard and then to medium, because these are color pencils, and then you can take your other color, like that lightest color, and I blend them. So there's a way to, you can do small little circles or back and forth, and it just blends a little bit nicer. You don't have to use the yellow. Instead, you can put, the green on top of the yellow to make a lighter green and go from there. But I wanted a really big contrast considering how dark these are. So that's up to you. As you go, think about the same thing. You can change, a lot of these as I went, I changed where the corner tip was. I tried not to have several next to each other, instead diagonal, but it doesn't really matter. It's going to come out in its own way as well. So take your time and just start going in. Remember, go nice and slow and breathe, and you're starting in a corner, and all you're doing is this up and down movement coming out of it. And if you need to get to a corner, go to the side, go to the side. But I don't want to see this in each of those because it takes away this really cool gradual effect. So once you make, if it's a bigger place, do a little bit of a darker space first, pushing harder, and then going to medium, with your colored pencil. And again, you can go lighter with your color pencil. And then I'm going to switch colors and go to the next one. And just see what you think. I'm going to take my time, and I'm going to go in and blend and do it for all the rest of my wolf. Now, when you're done, what I'm going to have you do is take a Sharpie, and you're going to trace over all the areas that you have your lines. So when you're working on cutting out your project, I want you to keep in mind that when you're cutting, you can work in stages. You don't have to have one giant cut. So sometimes if something's in a really tight corner like this, what I end up doing is I'm gonna go into the corner and then I come this way and I can work my way up to that corner. Even here, I might be like, ugh, I don't wanna have to cut all that. So I'm just gonna snip it and then it breaks that piece off. You wanna always make cutting easier for you. It's not about making it harder, you should make it easier. So it gets closer, I can see where it's at, and then I can pull it. And that's how I get into my tinier areas. And again, you'll notice like this paper, I broke it into simpler sections to cut. Like here, I'm just gonna work my way slowly because it gets too difficult sometimes or frustrating. And I feel a lot better when I work my way in smaller cuts in order to get into these tighter areas, as you can see. So take your time. I don't want to see a lot of rushing, but this is the first goal, is to cut out our animals to the best of your ability. You want to really still see that black Sharpie marker. You notice I'm going really slow. And if you end up with a little piece in there, it's okay. You just kind of make that same little cut and it'll be good to go. All right, once you're done cutting this out, then I want you to select a background paper that you think would best highlight your colors inside and make them stand out. So let's see how that goes first. One other thing I wanted to know is if you see a little bit of, like white showing and it's really bothering you after you cut it out, you can go back in with your Sharpie and you can just hold it up so that way we're not getting it on the table, or you could put a paper underneath, but you can go in and you can just use the Sharpie to clean up those areas that, really stand out that you weren't able to quite cut off. If that bothers you. So it's another way of hiding any of those little white spots that are popping up. All right, so now I have chosen to do this particular blue. And when I put the glue on, because that's what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to have to glue this on. This is another two-step process. I'll get my glue stick out. I want to make sure I don't glue it too far up and not all the way. I want to go right in the middle to the best ability that I can. And you don't need a lot. So I'm just going to go around. I'm going to do an X for my body here, and I'm going to do just a quick line on the other parts. And the reason I'm doing it fast is it dries really fast. And I just want to get it on, and then I can see what's loose. Those extra little small pieces will hold this down. So now I can look and go, all right, here's a loose spot. Stick it down. I'm going to hold it for a few seconds. Back here, I can put a little glue right there underneath, and then I can rub and hold this down. Typically also when you're at this part, make sure your hands are clean so you don't get your nice work all upset, Here's my foot. I didn't put any glue on that because I'm trying to go nice and easy when I put these things on and just clean up anywhere that's loose. This is a little loose here. And then I got the head, the ears. Notice again, I'm just holding it down so the glue really takes and it knows that I want it to stay right there. Okay, so now that I've got this, I put my glue stick away. And then the next part is we are going to bubble cut around our project. And that's going to be a shadow in the shape of our animal. So bubble cutting means you're going to leave space, and you don't need to make it a huge space. You don't have to, you could make it big, it's up to you. But I want to see, you know, the shape of your animal around it. So again, if these pieces annoy you, cut them off and then move them. There's nothing that says there's a certain one way on how to cut. And if it gets close in some areas and not in the others, that's fine too. There's no wrong way. The goal is just to make a shape. Notice my scissors also, when I'm cutting, my scissors are always straight, whereas the paper, my other hand is turning the paper around. So it's never cutting this way. It's always, my scissors are straight and I am rotating the paper. You notice, see, the paper's turning, my scissors are not. And this little spot's gonna bother me. So I'm gonna just turn it this way. All right, there we go. So once you're done with this part, you can look over and go, how does all this look? I like the flow of it here. I don't like this part here. I think I had it too narrow. So I'm just gonna go in and fix it up a little bit. There we go. Now that looks so much better. And then all I want you to do on the back, you gotta put your name and your teacher code, okay? So your name and your teacher code. After that, you're done.